BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jeremy from Man vs. Meeple, and we're talking about a game I got to try, and I want to hear what you think about it. Lost Ruins of Arnak. Give us the pitch.
Okay, so Lost Ruins of Arnak is part deck builder, part worker placement. You are set in this kind of like Amazonian thing, and you're going out. You're basically adventurers. You're trying to lay out your groundwork in these sites by grabbing resources and then going and traveling out by paying resources and unveiling more of the land that is on the board. The board is gigantic. It's actually like more vertical board, so it's not a traditional board. It's going to take up a lot of your table space. But you're also
look at the size of that thing.
I know, it's very large and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful world. By the way, it has two different sides. One's a more advanced side, and I suggest you do that right after you play the first time.
Okay.
But you also have your cards, and these cards, well, we can talk about that first. There's a track on the bottom. That track is one of the things that you're going to be chasing after. You have like your research, and then you kind of have your journal log. And what you're going to be doing is paying resources to move those icons up the track, and you'll receive rewards along the way. And you can also gain assistance that you can use during your turn to kind of help you out with
and that's those 3 tokens at the bottom, right? The little tiles.
Yeah. But the key is of course it's deck building. So you have these cards, and you have cards you can play that are like fast action cards, and you have they're multi-use cards. So not only can they be used for fast actions, they can be used for full actions, but they also are used as icons for traveling as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on with that. So you have these icons you play for traveling. As you can see, the little car right there. Yeah. That card, it's on the top left of the cards. There's different types, like a plane, a card, a boat, and boots. And it basically means you can travel further out into the wilderness. And then you unveil more worker placement spots, but you also unveil these enemies from the deep. Okay. So like they kind of pop up in these locations. You have to pay resources to take them out as well. Otherwise they curse your deck, that kind of thing like that. Now, as you move out to the actual cards, once again, the cards are multiple things. You're going to have these items. The items are going to help you trigger more combos in the future. But when you buy these cards, they go right on the top of your deck. So you're going to have access to them right away. So you're kind of seeding your deck and knowing what order you're going to be seeding your deck, which is really important in this game. You may also acquire fear cards from not taking out guys, and also some effects will benefit you, but also cause you to take this fear in your deck, which is negative points. And then you have these artifact cards, where it gets real interesting, because the artifact cards can be used right away. And then they become, like an integral part of your deck. And one of these cool little things is it's played over 5 rounds, which seems very fast. And I'll get to that in a second. But you are basically moving this like kind of, what do they call that? Like a lantern across the thing. And as the rounds go, you get more artifact cards than you do item
less
cards.
Of the regular cards.
Right.
Yeah.
So less of the regular cards, more of these cards, which are going to require resources to use.
It's like a staff. You can kind of see it on the screen there.
That's a staff. And I just couldn't think of the word. But there's a lot of that going on. So you have a choice of like how much you're going to go into these cards, because you're going to get access to some things. But also you want to make sure you have the right cards. And as the game goes along, you want to make sure you're traveling as much as possible. That's what this game does. It makes you choose very, very sparingly how you're going to use those workers. You only get 2. That means wherever you place, it better be important and it better be worth it. One of the big issues with the game is it's gonna feel like you can't get enough done because you don't necessarily know where to start your engine in the game. Yeah, some people really lean into the worker placement and kind of feel incomplete because of the worker placement, while others don't know how to build a deck. So they really have a hard time with knowing which cards to get and who to chase after. And then also another big piece of feedback is how fast you get up and down this chart. The
track on the right side.
The track on the right side. Like it almost feels like if you were to just fly up that track, which you got to pay resources to do, which you also got to watch out for, but it may feel like you have to go up that to win. But I've won with just cards. I've won with just fighting the monsters and whatever the things that get revealed. You pay the resources, you get 5 points for those right away. I've done that along with not using the little totem pieces you get,
right,
and just getting all those points. So I've done that. I've done like score like 30 points off of that. So the track is like 22, 24, 26, depending on what you get. So you have different ways of doing this. It's just not, I can see how it could be a dud either way. And really what it does is you got to understand that this game will not always be, 80-point game, 100-point game. It might be 40s to 50s, like just depending on how the cards come out and, how are you comboing and stacking your deck. There's not a lot of places to always get rid of cards, which is a thing, because
if you get a lot of fear cards like I did, you can't get rid of them.
Right. So you're buying all these cards and you're buying the wrong cards and you realize, man, I got to get through my deck. I don't have a chance to get through my deck. And the rounds can be longer than you want them to. So there's rounds where you're like, why is this one person going like 10 cards deep and I'm not? And to be honest with you, that's honestly a get good card game. You know what I'm saying?
It comes really with experience, right?
I played it solo for a full week. After playing it multiplayer twice, I played it solo for a full week.
You feel like you're getting better with more plays?
Yeah. Like I don't lose now because I just played it to death. But I had such a fun time playing that game.
I went right for the track on the right side. I was like, there's so many good things. I'm just going to focus on that and forget everything else. The problem is, I think this game is all about synergy. Alex whipped our butt because Alex was doing a little bit of adventuring. How some Euros kind of really, you're better off just focusing on one thing. This one, it seems like if you do a little bit of everything and be good at one, but do a little bit of everything, you can't just forget the adventuring. You can't just forget the track. You gotta kind of do a little bit of all of it. I thought he did a better job. I do also like the way that when you're going after the monsters and you get treasure back, that it seems almost thematic. Like Alex got a rhino the first round, which allowed him to stampede further down the trail, which makes sense. They're on this Jumanji island and they grab this big giant rhino and they hold on for dear life as they start running through the jungle. So I just, it's kind of Indiana Jones-ish. It's kind of Jumanji-ish. I really think the theme comes out. Yeah, it's a Euro. Yeah, it's a little abstracted, but there, it's got some thematic elements that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I honestly, I think this game, we have this genre right now of deck building. So we have this deck-rated worker placement. And there are 3 games that came out this year. You have Dune Imperium, you have this one, and then you also had Stan's game, which is called Endless Winter, which came out. Interestingly enough, it's funny how all the designs lined up. It's almost like the year before with all the bee designs.
Sure.
So, yeah.
These came out back to back to back. Right, well, actually, Stan's will come out next year. But
no, honestly, Endless Winter is better than both of them by a
Oh, really? Okay.
But these two games are really good.
And we're going to talk about Dune in a second. Thomas wants to know, what does it bring to the table? What's the new part? And I think you would probably say the deck and exploring.
The thing is I have a rule about this. Sometimes we have to decide sometimes that games don't have to be innovative. Like they just have to be good at what they do. And to put worker placement and deck building is new. And because you have 2 games that access that does not mean that it's not some like thing to pass over.
Right.
Because the 3 games that I'm talking about represent different ways of doing it, so different and thematic that they don't need to fight for a space on your table. So if you have, like games like I have, you have worker placement games in your collection. I'm sure you don't have one worker placement game in your collection.
No.
If you have an area control, I'm sure you don't have one area. Like you could have all 3 of these and you'd be getting a different experience from each one. This one feels more of like, like this one leans more on the deck building than anything, I think. So if you're really more of a fan of deck builder, that's fine. I just find the little quirks in this game really cool. The aesthetic is beautiful. Turning in these resources for, to take out the monsters that are unveiled or whatever comes out of there is pretty cool. Stacking your deck and putting a card on top right away is something that I love. Like I love that idea. I'm buying these cards. They're going right on top of my deck. I buy this card. I can trigger it right away. There's a lot of positive feedback for what you're playing, like a feedback loop that's really good.
You get that. Yeah. I also like the fact that, with your typical worker placement game, you get 2 actions, maybe a third, depending on how many workers you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one, it's that I love that style of game, like Imperial Settlers, or not Imperial Settlers, the Empires of the North, where not only do you get to put your worker out, you can also use cards to keep extending the turn and give yourself more actions. And if you're smart, comboing up those the way Alex was, where he's playing a card that helps him explore, that helps him move up the track, that gets him something else to do the next round. It just makes you feel smart when you're doing that.
Yeah. I all I can tell you is even when you're playing solo, you still get that feeling of, the AI does a really good job of playing out, taking the restricted places away from you. And in a 2-player game, you already have one of the slots already taken out, all the camp slots. So you kind of have to make decisions on the fly. And they already have more decisions than you until you start buying enough cards to do it. So they make 10 decisions every round. You're not going to have 10 decisions every round.
No.
So it's just basically playing without you, pounding you for cards and everything. So it's a really good way to learn the game. So I strongly give that one a recommendation with ease. I don't really worry about it. It's just really if that's something you're interested in. If you don't like deck building, then I'm not sure this is going to change it around. Although I don't want you to think that this is I like worker placement, therefore you buy it, because this one leans more on the deck building side.
I agree with you there. I think it's more on the deck building, but worker placement is there. Yeah. And that is Lost Ruins of Arnak from CGE. Yeah. It's out there. It's hard to find right now, but hopefully it'll be coming back into print. I can't find a copy.
Run is sold out. The first print run was sold out, I think, before they even started selling it.
I know it's sold out right away. If you didn't catch it at Essen, you didn't get it.
Yeah, Essen, they really pretty much sold through it.